Part 2, 14th April 2025. There's a stink. Shit. Everything is okay. Room. Part 3 and final part. Good. 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 Okay, perfect. Okay, so now. Who's this? Don't blink. Oops. My apologies. Don't blink as you blink. And welcome to my Complayer Show. Today we're having a wonderful day on this 14th April 25. Today is Monday. Today is checking my weight, checking the weight in. And it's super early in the morning. 7:30 to be exact. But I got a call for a little job with Bedard, so I gotta wake up early, right? We went to sleep at 2:30. And so he's ready to join this. We have to wait until 10 o'clock to leave. But I went to a cup that way I could do a little bit of video, that way I could upload. Oh my god. So there we are. It's gonna be a beautiful day. It's gonna be a really, really, really wonderful day. So super stoked about that. And that's pretty much it. So I want Sean to come in on here, show you the sun, wish you a great day, tell you that I love you, and I know these videos aren't the most purposeful, but again, lately we've been focusing too much on purpose. Oh, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? What if you were doing this because that was the right thing to do? But then, would it be nice? I think it would. Anyway, enough with the video. Love you guys. Take it easy. Peace. Don't blink, is your blink. Welcome to a movie review. We haven't done one in a while, and the movie that we're reviewing is actually a really, 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 really good movie. So we're reviewing Edge of Tomorrow. It is early morning because it's how we're here. We're also filming nature, which is gorgeous. We're having a sip of coffee because it's still very early in the morning, which explains the sunrise. Edge of Tomorrow, movie with Tom Cruise, right? Edge of Tomorrow is this amazing, amazing story. So when I was at work, right? You guys know about listening to music. That's what I don't like, you know. If one gets too hot, it's not about how much we can do, it's how much we possibly can do. I follow the wolf pack. There's the beta, which we're fighting. There's the alpha, which is the guy, the creature that you fought. And there's the omega, which is in charge of everything, right? So it's a system that is fine, extraterrestrial, but it's still very human or very nature-like. Which is something I really enjoyed. But in this odd case, it's also a story of, well, I'm the only guy that knows what's gonna happen, and I gotta get people to believe in me. So at first he's lucky. He meets a formidable bitch, and she believes him because she had the power. And then she helps him get a doctor. And at the very end, the answer was, and that's what I love about the movie, right? The movie is actually really good, really, really good. What I love about the movie is at the very end, he realizes Platoon because again it's army, right? His platoon was the answer to the day one. If he could have convinced them to help him, he would have won. At the end, that's what happened, right? But then it's not about fighting the Omega. The most of the movie is fighting the Omega, which does take away from the story. I would have preferred a story where we get to analyze the mimics a bit more, right? Versus we're looking for the specific one, let's understand the race, right? And the great thing about the movie is that the whole time, right? The whole time, we get a guy that revives, right? And then we get to revive and revive and revive. And it's very clever narrative plot where they're saying that the guy understands and we don't understand them. So then you realize that the only reason you understand those things is because he saw them, right? And you realize that the reason he saw them is because there's a lot of time where he died and we didn't see him. Then you just ask yourself, how many times does he die? And it's not really answered in the movie, but it's you know, it's up to you to decide, right? Was it 400, 500 times, right? The classic Doctor Strange multiverse. So the movie is really good. The fact that it takes its inspiration from a manga is once again phenomenal, because manga has such a rich story sometimes, and they have this rich story sometimes, but at the same time, it's a bit odd, right? It's a bit odd because when you look at it, it's rare that we have a manga that's so small. This movie is like 2 hours, so it's not that much. But again, the movie is great. The acting is great. We got Emily Blunt, the wife of John Krasinski, or the ex-husband of Pamela Beasley, or Pam, for people that know her. I don't really have a problem with the movie. It does feel, how can I say that? The movie itself feels a bit unfocused, to be honest. Because the movie starts off and it's funny, right? And then the movie started off as this quest to find something, right? And then it becomes about this guy. And what I just said, and I mean this, I like the fact that they had it, this kind of hero that saw it time and time and time and time and time again, right? And the whole purpose of this journey is I'm the only guy that knows what to do, right? The- Within that same time, we have this guy who is kind of a mess, you know. I'm tired, so I'm nervous. We have the normal Tom Cruise casting. It's a bit of a silly guy. Think about Mission Impossible. Think about The Mummy. Right? This is what he is. This is always the same role that he's playing. And it's not because, although every single trip to the past and to the front doesn't really matter. What does matter is the change of the character. He is the main character. So when there has character development, you want to see it, right? So that's a bit missing. He started off as being funny, and he becomes this very strong. So what I'm trying to say is, narratively speaking, there's a bunch of benefit to it, right? So we're going the Matrix route, which is basically, oh, I'm gonna take a character called Nero, and I'm gonna train him. I don't really need to train him because I can just download the system in his head, right? In this case, we have this guy who's okay fighter, right? And then he becomes a really good fighter, and then we didn't really need to see the training, but we get to see that he's stronger and he's better, right? Because we get to see that he's strong and better, and there's a chance of survival, right? And that's the main plot of the movie. That's what's great. The main plot of the movie is that, okay, well, I'm living the same day every single day. How far can I get? How far can I get each day until I reach the finish line, right? That's the important part. But the sad thing is, there's also the psyche. Evolution, right? Now, the craziest thing is, if you look at the narratively speaking, right? You got a female bitch, and the female bitch, she's that way because she killed 1,000 of people, right? She's not 1,000 people, but 1,000 of these bad creature. But people hate her because she was the only survivor. But then you realize, and you realize that the guy's doing the same thing. So you got algebra, you got mathematics, right? So the enemy XX, right? The fact that you're able to reborn to be reborn every single day is Y. X plus Y equates to the character, right? The character, call him C, call him B, doesn't really matter, right? You got a final character, right? Now the problem is, how does this character react to the equation, right? For example, right? For example, I'm gonna do 2 plus 3 equal 5, right? And I'm gonna do another one, 2 plus 3 equal 5, right? Now what's the difference? Well, one of the 5 is a ton, and one of the 5 is a kilo, right? So a ton is a lot more, right? But the equation and the thing are the same thing. So it's the value that you get from it, right? In the case of the girl, she understood that she couldn't save everybody, and that victory was a lot more. In the case of the guy, and this is what I kind of like about the movie in itself, is the very first morning, everybody dies, and he's trying to save them, and he's kind of saved them little by little by little, right? And it's kind of funny because they need a big moment that was a turnaround point. So because of the lack of narrative, as the character developed, you kind of create your own, right? So one of the moments for me was there's this general, right? And the general doesn't like gambling, right? And then at first he knows that they're gambling, and instead of protecting them, he just get them discovered, right? But at the end, he's like, yo, he hides a pack of cards. So the reason why he hides a pack of cards, and the reason why this is so good, is because he finally understands that those people can help them, can save them, and can help them, right? And it doesn't matter if they're dying at the end, at least he's helping them, right? And I think this is the beauty of the manga also, because if you know the manga is how a coward, which is the main character, was able to save the world, right? The coward, I think it's what's amazing is that heroic journey. So naturally, I'm getting stronger. So if you're a nerd just like me, you know what's battle IQ, BIQ, right? Barbecue. Battle IQ is how strong you get and how much experience you get. And for example, I know if I duck here, I know how to recharge faster. I know how to take out my gun faster. I know how far I can shoot. I know how to use the scope better. I got some training, right? So in this case, it's not necessarily the guy becoming a hero, but the guy stop being a coward, right? And it's the constant evolution, right? And there's instances. For example, right? One of the beautiful thing is they meet this character, right? And they meet these characters, and the main character, which is Tom Cruise, is cocky. They meet this character, right? And this character is stubborn, and he doesn't believe them. And Tom Cruise knows that, but he's cocky, right? And he's able to manipulate his way. He's able to manipulate his way. And also, I think we all love that. I think we just saw the movie Cry, which was fantastic. We talk about Drake Uncharted, and Nathan Drake. We think about Wolverine, think about Deadpool, you think about a lot of anti-hero, right? You set up this character that you're supposed to hate, then they become heroic, right? And it's not true heroic action, but it's choosing in the day, right? And it's nuts because at the end, does he save the day? Yes. Does it matter? No. No, why? Because if it wasn't for the power, he would have not been able to. And that is the kind of duality of the movie, and the duality of the movie, which is kind of important in itself, right? So you got a hero, and again, I watched it 3 times, and now that I'm doing a review, I'm thinking about it, I'm brainstorming about it, right? So you got this character who, yes, has a heroic journey, starts from being a coward to being a hero, right? But then it doesn't matter because the only reason, it's not strength that made him, it's experience, right? So it's like playing the same game or playing the same game of chess every single time, and the other player, right, does the same move day after day after day after day. Now there's gonna be one time we're gonna be understanding the whole game, because you understand the whole game, you win. But you didn't really win, you cheated, right? Still, you have this heroic act, and you feel like you cheated. Now the question of there's no edge of tomorrow. The question of it is, does it really matter? Next game today, or my favorite game ever, Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask, which is the same concept of time traveling, right? And it's super important. Why? Because we have this hero. Well, what are we doing? We're doing the most. Editing, filming, and recording, right? So now we get a position where I'm only filming and recording, and hopefully this is gonna make the phone cold enough for me to continue. Anyway, that's not the issue. That's not the subject. The subject is once again Edge of Tomorrow with Link, right? One of my favorite games. If you look at my tattoos, I got this one, Majora's Mask, and I got this one. Now I know in fact. However, right? We're on the way to lose weight, so if you don't believe in this. So in the game, it's a nice thing because those two are directly parallel. You got the era of Link, and Link is a hero versus the era of, I don't even know the main character fucking name. I think it's Capital Cage, some shit like that, right? And he's not a hero. Well, Link, as a hero, he's trying to save everybody, right? He's trying to save everybody, and he's trying to save. And then the game is about maturing and overcoming obstacle. And the biggest obstacle that he has is understanding that no matter what he does, he will not be able to save everybody, right? So he's gonna save them in a different timeline, and you basically get the narrative, but you're always coming back. You always have 3 days, right? And at the end is, well, I wasn't able to save everyone, but I saved Termina, saved the world. So who gives a shit, right? That was the Edge of Tomorrow is, right? It feels, what I'm trying to say, I think the idea I'm trying to transpire to you guys is that it feels a bit underwhelming. See, you take a character and you make him a hero, right? And you take a character and you say, you know what? You don't have a choice. You're gonna be the hero, right? And the character kind of understand that it was inside him the whole time, right? He was always a hero, right? So the hero journey or the journey of destiny, it was supposed to be like that, right? But in our case, it does feel like the only reason that what this guy is doing is because there's no other hopes, right? So there's even this part, and the reason why I'm insisting so much on the non-hero, there's a moment, right? And he has this character, which is Emily Blunt, which is a formidable bitch, right? And she get hurt, right? And we're looking for keys for a chapter, right? And they're looking for keys, and he knows exactly what the keys are, and he hides them, right? And then the reason they give is like, yo, you never make it out. You never make it out alive. So your whole plan was to save the world. Then when you have a chance to save the girl, which there's no romantic interest in, they're not together, right? You don't do it. So what was the point? What was the point? So, and again, this is shitty. They're also quite realistic, right? So you're getting those same days, and you're getting further and further and further, and then you really know those people, right? Now the question that I wanted to ask, and I think it's an important question, is did he give up? Did he give up? I think there's a lack of information. That's what makes it amazing. Did he give up? Like I'm gonna live the best day ever. And I'm only gonna live one day. I'm gonna make it the best day ever. First, I'm gonna save the world, right? And then one of the interesting plot points is he gets injured and they're transfusing blood into him. Because they're transfusing blood into him, he cannot revive. I know it's really smart. Anyway, love you guys. Take it easy. Peace. Don't link, it's your boy Ink. Welcome to our show. Feeling also having a wonderful day on this 14th April 2025. Today is Monday, today is my weigh-in. I'm excited. Before that, we're doing some videos. The video today is The Irishman. So a movie with Robert De Niro. And I gotta say, I really enjoyed that movie. The Irishman to me was really, really good. There's a lot of flaws to the movie, but there's a lot of like pros, and I gotta say Robert delivered. Oof. I was a huge fan of Robert De Niro. I was a huge fan of him. So we're talking about movie like Taxi Driver, talking about movie like Fighting Bull, talking about movie like Casino, talking about movies like The Goodfellas, talking about movies, a lot of movies, right? Talking about movie like Eat. But then he made movie like, well, the fuckers are good, but he made movie like Dirty Granddad, where he said the N word, and I'm like, what the fuck, dude, you know? And it's kind of nuts because this movie, The Irishman, was kind of like a back to the roots, right? So the movie is a gangster movie, right? And we saw it. Now the first thing I'm gonna say about The Irishman, dude, is 3 hours and a half, right? And it's long. But then when you think about the best gangster movie, right? We're talking about The Goodfellas or The Goodfellas. Think about the Godfather. The Godfather is 3 hours each, right? There's 3 movies of 3 hours each, kind of like a Lord of the Ring of the world of gangsters. So don't link, it's your boy Ink. Sorry about that. The phone keeps on closing because it's so hot. Okay, we're back. Okay. Don't link, it's your boy Ink. Welcome to the Commentary Show. Guys are doing well, so having a wonderful day on this 14th April 2025. There's a beautiful sunshine behind me. Today we're talking about mentors. So lately we've been getting a lot of people saying, hey, you're motivational, you inspire me, hey, really fuck with the content. Thank you so much for everything. And although there's a lot of people that are really helping me out nowadays with the content and behind the scene, I got a lot of people that are in my circle, and I'm extremely happy and I'm extremely grateful for what's going on. But there is some props I have to give. And, you know, I think about people saying that, and I feel like a mentor, right? And then I think about the mentor that I had. And the mentor that I had were amazing people. And I wanted to give this video to them as a very simple shout out, right? So we're gonna be starting at a very, very, very young age. Now, these mentors aren't gonna be authoritative figure, right? They're not gonna be authoritative figure. So there's teacher in there, right? Which I'm super grateful that I had a good teacher. The reason why we're not adding those teacher up is because they not because they got into the business for helping, right? So those mentors, what really meant a lot to me, right? Were because they didn't have to do what they did. They didn't have to do what they did, right? And those mentors were super important to me because, you know, even the teacher, like, wow, you believe in me. I didn't believe in myself, so it was super important. So we're not talking about teacher, I'm talking about celebrities, because celebrities is super easy, right? Aziz, Rich Piana, Chester Bennington, super easy. And you guys know, And the thing with celebrities is they might be your role model too for a completely different reason, right? So then it becomes more of an opinion or a different opinion, or again, clashing ideal versus giving homage to the person, right? And lastly, when I talk about teacher, I'm also talking about bosses. Because I had some great bosses, I had some horrible bosses, but some great bosses. Now, the reason that's for that is because, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like, once again, they're in the business. So for me, you're in the business to help children. You're a teacher. You're in the business of leadership. You have leadership. The bus that I have, were they great people, amazing people? Absolutely. Was it more so leadership than just genuine human kindness? I don't know. I don't know. And that is a little bit of an issue. It's a little bit of an issue because you're in a position of, well, of course you want to help, but that's not their job, but their person. It's part of their nature versus something that's just kind. So the first one I'm gonna have to go with Sammy, and I think this is something beautiful and unsung hero. Those people will always be unsung heroes. So I was a kid. Sammy was my first mentor. Was really important to me because Sammy, and again, those people are gonna be they can't even be friends because then those people, if they're your friends, it's funny. Those people, if they're your friends, they have this, and I think for the teacher and the students, the bosses too, that an interest in you because you were their students, or you were part of their class, or you were part of their team, right? So I feel like it shouldn't equate, it shouldn't work, right? So Sammy, we had a very similar background and a very similar humor, and Sammy was the son of an Egyptian mom. You know how it is. My mom's also Egyptian, and it was very, very mama bear. So he would take me aside, and it's funny because I was 18 years old. I was still going to. I was 18 years old and still going to the day camp, right? And he would treat me as an adult, and he was the only one that treated me as an adult. Like, for example, I fucking love Sammy, but the reality is he was a bad influence in the best way possible. Sammy was the very first figure of a big brother I ever had, and I feel like a lot of those mentors were big brothers. So it's nuts because with Sammy, what do you swear? There was this punishment that you have to do 10 push-ups, and it would tell people I don't want to do push-ups and I'm not gonna swear. With Sammy, it's like, how much can you do? He would push me to swear if I do more because I was overweight. So it was his way of saying, hey, exercise fatso. Also, he would talk about Colt. He would talk about how he gets girl. Like, he would talk about how it didn't really matter when it was a married woman, or it didn't matter when it was porn. He would talk about porn a lot, right? And again, you would think that this is weird for a camp counselor. Talk about this with a camp kid, if you will, that was 18, right? And he treated me like his younger brother. And the funny thing is, we would really talk about like a lot of stuff. Like, for example, right? So this is a story that I like to say, even though this is possibly not the brightest moments in my lifetime. But I was at the time with my life where camp was gonna be boring no matter what. I was 18 at the camp and I was doing activity that was meant for 13, 14 years old. So I started manipulating them. And I was like, and back then the movie Minions was really popular. So I was like, hey, he wants to be my minion. And then, me. So I'm like, okay, well, get me this pack of cards, or get me a comics, or get me some water. And I would make them my little, But then again, there was no ill intent. It was just like, I'm bored, let me have fun my own way. And Sammy saw that, and he was like, yo, that's actually pretty funny, right? And it was also this case, and Sammy really treated me differently. And again, not the best camp counselor move, but still. So what he would do is Sammy was a kind of like a rule breaker, right? Kind of like a rule breaker. He would say, people were asking for his Facebook. So the only one who's gonna get my Facebook here is Stefan because he's 18, right? The reality is like we're close, but then Sammy, and so what I like about Sammy is, again, sort of a bad influence, but it was more so like this is real life. I'm not trying to be a bad influence. I'm not trying to tell you to do shit. See, I would make jokes and I would push the kids to do things that were funny because I was bored, right? Of course, nobody was injured. I didn't do anything that was crazy, but it was funny. Um, we had this game of it. Jenga. Oh my god, this is bad, dude. This is bad. Now that I look back at it, it was annoying. But if you had a big brother, you know exactly what it feels like. So if we had this game, the most popular game there was Jenga. So I had this kid. Wait, this is this is so bad. This is so bad. I had this kid sit. Wait. They were playing Jenga on the table, and I had this kid sit at the table. They were playing Jenga, and when it fall, I would make him scream Jenga. or things like, or I told the kid, because he was, he was, he was walking very like, how can I say that? He was walking very like reserved, right? So I made him believe that cool kid were walking like penguins. So he started walking like a penguin, and this is bad. But then, in the same time, it was this bigger brother feeling to it because I have like 7 parts of nature corn. I'm all gonna put them together. So it doesn't really matter, but still. So with Francis, and he would come and he would choose his employees. So for example, he was a manager, and as much as the winter would go, he would kick people out, and he kept me for some reason. I wasn't the best employees, and he kept me, right? And he kept me, and I got really mad at him because he kept me. But then it was like, I'm keeping you because I like you because you speak English. I don't speak English, so you're really helpful. You're my right hand man, right? And I don't understand why I didn't understand what he meant, because then when the summer came back, we had a lot of employees. And it was like, yo, these are your guys. And he took a step back, and he wasn't working as much. So I was really mad at him because I was like, dude, you're such an asshole. You're such an asshole, you know, because you're kind of using me, right? You're kind of using me, and he did use me, but it wasn't a good way. So Francis taught me a lot about like just that. It was weird because if you look at Sammy, it was about fun. If you look at Simon, it was professional. Francis was in between, right? It was like how to be professional at work but still have fun. Then the reason why I call him a mentor today is because he did teach me a lot about life. Like for example, right? The sole reason why we were able to pass the 8 years, even though we were bullied, I did like the last job that I had. I liked the people. Did I like the job? I think it was cool. It was easy. And the reason that we were able to survive was because of Francis. Francis told me to do the much possible with what I had. For example, listening to music or just being able to pass the time faster, right? And the reason why I call him a mentor is he wasn't really a boss. He was a guy that stepped up. And just like me, he did to me what he did to him. They kept him around because he had leadership. And then they told him, well, you're in charge. We're not going to pay you more. Francis was there for 4 years. He was making the same salary as I did. But then when something was wrong, they came to him. Hey Francis, why is you guys doing that? Why is you guys doing that? So he did to me the same thing they did to him. And it wasn't a fair situation, right? And that's pretty much it. I think that's the reason why I see him as a leader. The mentor. There's a bunch more, but the one that I'm thinking about are either friends or authority figures. It doesn't apply. So there you go. Those are my mentors. Don't blink. It's your boy Hank. Welcome to the Cup Tilter Show. This is Whoops having a wonderful day. Oops. What happened here? I think I injured myself. On this 14th April 2025, we have a sunrise behind us. It is a beautiful day outside. It is a momentous day, as they say in whatever language you're speaking. Today we're talking about a movie review. But we're doing 2 movie reviews. So we're doing It's Raining Hamburger 1 and 2. So without further ado, because we're tired, let's get right into it. So It's Raining Hamburger to me is a really, really solid piece of media because it's the classic story of a bumpkin from a countryside, from a small town that has bigger ideas and wants to leave the town, right? So the first movie to me was so good, so freaking good, and it's about this guy, right? And the way it's done, it's so nice because he's not really appreciated, and everybody thinks that he's silly, and he's so silly. And there's also this intent of his father has a sardine shop, right? And then his father's like, no matter what you do, you're gonna be the one to take the store after me. So it doesn't matter what you do, you're gonna work here, right? So it's about a story of a guy defining his destiny, right? And he figured out the machine by complete accident where he's able to make food rain. So then he started bribing people, and people are asking him, "Can you make this rain? Can you make this rain? Can you make this rain?" So then, it's a classical genius that nobody believes in, but then they can use them, so they use him, right? And it's always a scene of, okay, well, guess what? I need something from you, so I like you, right? And then it is absolutely phenomenal because the couple people that cared about him, which is his father and a reporter, they both get affected negatively. So, for example, his father, which has a sardine shop, doesn't sell as much food because of the hamburger, training hamburger, right? The girl who is supposed to be this genius, she doesn't understand what's going on, so she looks foolish, right? So it's a classic story of the scientist, the mad scientist that achieves something, but it's also it's paired with the guy who's an underdog and nobody believes in, kind of way to heroism. And I think it's super cool because it's a character that we like. We're rooting for him. It's the perfect picture of an underdog. And you feel bad because he's getting used, but then he finally gets the love that he deserves, right? And it's funny because there's also this character that doesn't really matter. This character who is the celebrity of the town, right? And he kind of gets replaced because he's an asshole. But he kind of gets replaced by the guy who makes hamburger rain. Once again, it's a system of greed. So then the whole base of the whole story of the first one, again, it's a child movie, but it was still enjoyable. My apologies. So then the whole basic of the story is I'd rather be not known and not loved, but being without getting used, than being used and being loved. And then of course he overused the machine, so now he can't control it. Then he find a way to fix it, and then he's a hero once more, but people know better than to use him. Right? There's also the case of he's kind of destroying people, so people are becoming more and more obese, and he's the responsible for that. So you see that and like, holy shit, I did this. The second one is, I didn't really like it, to be honest. So the second one is this super genius goes to a school of super genius, and then you realize that he's once again the underdog because he's surrounded with people that are super smart. And like, okay, well, I'm smart, but I'm not that smart. It's a classic story of a genius that becomes a genius, but then when he's surrounded with genius, he isn't a genius, you know? And then the story is how corrupted geniuses are, and you see, the purpose of the first movie was to realize that I can invent a machine that'll get me everything I want. Fame, appreciation, love, money, right? But I don't want to do it because the prices are too much to pay. So then the whole purpose of the second movie was he's surrounded with geniuses that are way smarter than him and way more deserving of the good stuff, right? But then it comes at a price, and the price is what? Oh shit. Okay, sorry. And the whole price is what? Is they sold their soul, right? So if there's a way to get richer, and they don't care about what's going on, so he's in a position, and I think that's the purpose of the second movie, in a position of where he can prove himself by crossing a line, which is morality and ethic. But does he want to cross that line? That's the question of the movie. The second movie was good. Well, that's good because it's like, so you see, you did the same thing as the first movie, which is kind of like the hangover. But then you're repeating stuff, and the payout for the first movie is a lot better than the second movie. So yes, the story of the first movie is good. The payout is great. The story of the second one is good. The payout is less great, right? And because it's a sequel and because it's the same universe, you compare them. So the first one is actually way better. And it's pretty much, it's Raining Hamburger. Anyway, love you guys. Take it easy. Peace. Don't blink. It's your way. Welcome to the Commentary Show. This is doing well. So having a wonderful day on this. Oops, I forgot the subject. Mohamed, merci mon homme. Je vais essayer good. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay, so what is that? It's about the fittest, my mentor edge, what you take, perfection, why I have so much, fitting in society, the Irishman, Amish gaming, cut out with people, winning hamburger, junk food. Perception of old, perception of near future, when does it change stuff? Okay, that's good. Don't blink, it's your boy, welcome to the Commentary Show. It's doing well, so you guys are having a wonderful day on this 14th April 2025. I watched, today we're going to talk about Lord of the Ring, of course. I watched the 3 movies lately, and it's funny because Lord of the Ring was quote unquote, and when I say quote unquote, it was my favorite series of all time, the goated series of all time. And there is this kind of really weird thing with fans where they'll see something for a long time and they'll make fun of it. So for example, the Star Wars fan will make fun of the Star Wars, the cheesy stuff, and they're still loving it. And I was like, what movie can I watch? What movie am I really a fan of that I can make fun of? Because I want to feel that feeling. I want to feel what it was like to do that. You see, for example, right? I'm following a lot of content creators that are for YouTube. For Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm tired. For Yu-Gi-Oh! And they're really pushing the context of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is silly. They're banning cards, so it's really making fun of Yu-Gi-Oh! They're loving it. Or for example, Pokemon, the same thing. So with Lord of the Ring, and I was like, how can I make fun of it? I don't want to make fun of this. But then, I watched them again, just to find something else. I really wanted to do a video like that, because again, I think it's a cool concept. It's funny. For example, I'm going to give you the best example. People that are fan of Naruto, right? And they're saying like, they're making fun of the fact that nobody knew that Naruto was the son of, sorry. Did we get it? No, it's still there. Did we pop a purple? No, sorry. How much battery is left? 35, good. Look at text. Oh.